Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. So today we will conduct the class asynchronously, and our topic today wanna talk about fire hazard potential. In the first module, we will have four topics. The first one's about review of U.S. fire administrations. The second one wanna talk about fire data in Indonesia. The third one about safety science, and the last one is key elements of fire safety. For the first one is a review of U.S. fire administrations. From this data, this is a data from California wildfires in the Northern California. On this slide, we will look at the trends in fire incidents and their impacts on casualties, injuries, and also to the economic losses from 2008 until 2017. And from the data, we get the number of fires in 2017. There were around 1 million fire incidents, and this number decreased by 6.2% compared to 2008, and number of fatalities in 2017 they cut around 3,400 people. Unfortunately, this number increased by 9.6% compared to 2008, and this indicates that although the number of fire has decreased, the fatality rate has increased. So, as we know, the fires from 2017, from 2008 until 2017 decreased 6.2%. But for the death number of fatalities, they increased 9.6%. And from the number of injuries in 2017, there were around 14,000 fire-related injuries, and this number increased 15.8% compared to 2008. And for the financial losses due to fire, the total economic loss due to fires in 2017 reached until 23 billion, and this represents a 12% increase compared to 2008. And it's important for us to note that this figure has been adjusted for 2017 inflations and includes 10 billions in damage from the Northern California wildfires. And from this graph explanations, they show the trend in the number of fires from 2008 until 2017. And overall, there has been a declining trend in especially in fire incidents over the past decade, and as indicated in by the blue line, they decrease. And however, when we're looking at annual data in the red line, we can observe fluctuations such as increase in 2011 and 2015. They have increasing data. So the conclusions and the occupational safety implication from this data is the data show that even though the total number of fire has decreased, the impact of fires in terms of fatalities and also to the economic losses has increased. And this highlights the importance of fire prevention, which can be achieved through identifying fire hazards, kind of ignition source, flammable material, and oxygen presence. And maybe we can also implement an effective occupational safety and health kind of management system to minimize fire risk and their impact. And the third one, maybe we can also do some training and preparedness in fire response to reduce casualties and injuries, kind of maybe doing some simulation in drill evacuations. And based on of this slide, What do you think, guys? What steps that we can take in the workplace to reduce fire risk? Do you have any idea about that? Maybe if you have a kind of that idea, you can uh, explain it in your final final assignments. So maybe if there is a potential hazard, kind of fire hazards in your uh, in your final projects, you can explain it and also maybe have a mitigations about that. And then this is the fire risk in Indonesia and Malaysia for June 2015 to May 2016. From this data, we can know that in some part of Indonesia and Malaysia, they have very high risk of fires, and in the south area, they have very low or no risk. So where and it also depends to the months. Like we can see the into in the May of 2016, we can know that the area that have a very high risk is in the Malaysia, and from the Indonesia they have that kind of risk in area kind of Nusa Tenggara and some part of Sulawesi. This is data from Conservation International Forecast. So maybe based on of this data, we can uh, have a mitigations uh, plan prevent to have a prevention plan whether there is a risk of a fire or not. And this is a fire statistic in especially in Jakarta from 2014 from 2014 until 2019. On this slide, we will look at fire statistic in Jakarta over a 6 years period. This graph illustrates the number of fire incidents based on uh, different causes. There are four, oh, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different causes. As we can see, the two most common causes on fire are electrical, the orange parts, the electrical faults, and other unspecific factors. Electrical fires saw a fluctuating trend in 2018 until 2019. They have decreased trend, but remain one of the leading causes each year. Meanwhile, the category label others, the green ones, saw a significant spike in 2017 before declining again. Cigarettes and stuff related fire contribute to a smaller percentage. This one, the light green they have a smaller percentage of incidents, but remain consistent throughout the years. So under 200. And the unknown category suggests that some fire causes could not be determined. And overall, based on this data, they can highlight the need for stronger fire prevention measures, particularly concerning electrical hazards, because they have a highest statistic in here, and maybe we can more consider about that and try to find preventive actions to do to mitigate the fire because the electrical. And this is a kind of infographics from the fires in DKI Jakarta, the causes, the award of facilities, the objects, and some explanations about that, about the area, and about the total of the victim from the fires. And so we will discuss one of the greatest threats in the field of safety science, especially about fire. And fire is not just an incident; it has far-reaching impacts, including human casualties, financial losses, and also property destructions. And from this diagram, we can have some explanation about that, like fire as a major threat In here, at the center of this slide, we see an image of fire. This is symbolized that fire was a primary threat to workplace safety and everyday life. And surrounding it, we can observe the various negative impact caused by fires, like impacts to the humans, and of injury. Many people suffer injuries due to fires, including burns or some respiratory problems from smoke inhalations or injuries sustained while trying to escape. And maybe the other impacts is fatalities. So in more severe cases, fires can result in loss of life, affecting residents, workers, and even the firefighters. We can see some news that the victims also come from the firefighters, and they also can have an impact to the property, such as property damage. Fires can destroy homes, buildings, and industry facilities, and often making repairs difficult or expensive. And more severe, maybe they can lose of property. Like in many cases in Jakarta, we know that in some area they can lose their property, like valuable items such as important document, work equipment, or business assets may be permanently lost due to fires. And of course, this is also have an impact to the financial impact and of financial losses. Fires can lead to financial losses amounting to billions of rupiah due to building damage, operational disruptions, and post-fire recovery costs. And in many cases, small business may even face bankruptcy due to unexpected fires. And from this data, we can get conclusions and occupational safety implications that fire is one of the most significant threats in safety science due to its wide-ranging impact on people and assets. So therefore, we uh, need to have a fire prevention and must make it must be a top priority in safety management, whether at home, in the workplace, or in the public facilities, or in the campus. And prevention efforts not only can be carried out through identifying fire risks, but it can also by conduct some emergency evacuations training, and maybe try to have kind of training about how to use fire extinguishers and early detection systems such as smoke alarms or sprinklers. And from this slide, we know some fire preventions, as we know that prevention is better than extinguishing. Like fire prevention involves taking measures to reduce the likelihood of fire occurring, the likelihood of fire happening, and the main focus of fire prevention is identifying and controlling hazards before a fire starts. There are some fire prevention measures. The first one is risk identification. So try to identifying the heat sources, flammable materials, and environmental conditions that may trigger a fire. And the second one is equipment maintenance. Try to ensuring electrical equipment and machinery are in good condition to prevent short circuits. The third one, try to have a safe storage of flammable materials by storing chemicals and flammable gases according to safety procedures. And employee training, of course. Educating workers on fire hazards and how to prevent them is the good idea to prevent the fires. And then the last ones, maybe we can also have a developing safety or SOP by establishing safe work procedures for tasks involving head or open flames, such as welding. And the second one, we have a safe worker evacuation during a fire. Uh, Saving life is the top priority. And when a fire breaks out, the most crucial step in is ensuring that everyone can evacuate safely. A fast and safe evacuations depend on proper planning and training. And there are some evacuation steps. The first one is we need to clear evacuation routes, ensure all evacuation paths and emergency exits remain unobstructed. So make sure all of the routes was clear as possible. And the second one, we need to have early warning system by maybe using alarm that must be clearly audible throughout the workplace. So everybody in everywhere in the workplace should can be hear the alarms. And the third one is safe assembly point. So make sure you have in this area they have assembly points. All workers should know where to gather after evacuating, so they cannot be chaos, or they need to know where they need to gather after they evacuate. And the fourth one is regular evacuation drill. Fire drills should be conducted periodically so that workers know how to react in an emergencies. And the last one is emergency response team. So some workers can be specially trained as fire safety officer to assist in evacuation and ensure no one is left behind. And then the last key element of fire safety is protections for workers exposed to fire risk. The first one, they can protect those on the front lines. Certain workers, such as firefighters, maybe metallurgy industry workers or welding technicians, must work directly with fire or high heat sources, and they require extra protections to prevent fire related injuries. Worker protections measure, they can have a personal protective equipment, kind of PPE, fire suppression equipment, kind of fire extinguisher, sprinklers, and fire blankets must always be available in work areas. And then work permits and SOP, ventilations, and also environmental controls. And the last one is medical team and also first aid. So worker must be trained in first aid and procedures for burns and fire related incidents. So the conclusion from this slide is fire safety is not just about extinguishing fires, it's about preventing fires, ensuring safe evacuation, and protecting workers who face fire hazards directly. By implementing these three key elements, we hope that the fire risk can be minimized and workplace safety can be better ensured. And this is how we did fire preventions. And this module we have four topics. The first one, when to talk about fire prevention and protections. The second one is fire control hierarchy. Like we already talked before about occupational safety and health hierarchy. And then the third one is OSH fire prevention plan. And then the fourth one is fire triangle and tetrahedron. We will discuss the essential aspect of fire safety. The first one is fire prevention and then fire protections. For the fire prevention is the effort to prevent fire from occurring in the first place. The main goal of fire prevention is to eliminate factors that can trigger fire. And based on the physics and chemistry of fire, a fire can only occur in three key elements are present, known as the fire triangle: oxygen, heat, and fuel. If one of these elements is removed, a fire cannot ignite, cannot happens. So, however, in practice, fire prevention is not always 100% effective. Therefore, we need to understand several fire prevention measures recommended by NFPA in the 1997, which include this kind of prevention method. And then, however, as seen on the slide, fire prevention alone cannot 100% guarantee that fires will never occur. So that's why we also need to understand the concept of fire protections. While fire prevention focus on preventing fires, then the fire protection is an integrated system to handle fires that cannot be prevention or that cannot be prevented. I mean, for the fire protection includes all actions taken to control, contain, and extinguish fires once they occur. So the conclusion from this slide that fire prevention focus on preventing fires from occurring through combustible material control, early detection system, and also safety procedure. But for the fire protections, it more be refers to protective actions when a fire occurs, including fire extinguishers, sprinklers, and evacuation system. And the combination of both is crucial for workplace safety and asset protection. This is the hierarchy of control fire risk, like we already talked before. This is also can be used in fire. Actually, this is a hierarchy of occupational safety and health. The more effective is eliminate, of course, and then substitute engineering control, administrative, and also a PPE. On this slide, we will discuss the key element of the fire prevention plan according to OSHA. The fire prevention plan is crucial, as we know, for ensuring workplace safety and reducing the risk of fires that can cause significant losses. So from these ones, we know that the first thing that we need to do is a list of major fire hazards. This is the first step in fire prevention planning. So the first thing that we need to do is identifying the potential hazard that could cause a fire, and then the second one's procedure for controlling flammable waste. One of the causes of fire is the accumulation of flammable waste. So there must be clear procedure for managing such waste, kind of providing designed storage area, using sealed containers, or disposing of waste regularly. And the third step is design personnel responsible for equipment maintenance to ensure that fire protection system functions effectively, and specific personnel or job position must be responsible for equipment maintenance. And the fourth one is design personnel responsible for fuel management. In addition to equipment, fuel must be properly managed. And this organization recommends that specific personnel be responsible for storing the fuel, regulating the amount of the fuel, and then ensuring there are no leaks or spills that could ignite a fire. And the last one is regular handling procedure for head hazards to prevent accidents. Lastly, the fire prevention plan must include procedure for handling heat sources, kind of ensuring that hot tools like welding equipment and stove are used safely, keeping a safe distance between heat sources and flammable materials, and also providing training for workers. And before we dive deeper into the element of the fire prevention plan, let's first understand the fundamental concept of how fires occur. This is the ancient times. In the past, fire were explained using the fire triangle concept. As I already talked before, the contents of consists of three main elements: oxygen, heat, and flammable fuel. But right now, in the recent years, they uh, recognize to be fire tetrahedron, which adds on one more element. This is chemical reactions. The fire tetrahedron will be consist of oxygen, heat, fuel, and also chain chemical reactions. And this chemical reaction is what sustains the fire. So even if we remove full or we remove oxygens, but the chemical reactions continues, the fire may still burn or spread. This image explains combustion as an oxidation reaction that produce heat, flame, and smoke. Simple explanation of combustion, like combustion is a chemical reactions between fuel and oxygen, releasing energy in the form of heat and alike. And they also have factor affecting combustions, kind of state of fuel, combustion rates, differences, and also choosing the right fire extinguisher. And this is maybe some cases, as maybe you know that a wet cloth maybe can be extinguish fire, and how does a wet cloth can be do that is because they can blocking oxygen, because as we know that oxygen to be a part of a fire uh, part causes. So fire requires oxygen to keep burning, and a wet cloth acts as a physical barrier, try to cutting off the oxygen supply to the fire and stopping the combustion process. And the other reasons is because the wet cloth can absorb the heat. And but when is the method effective is when the fire is small and when the fire sources can still be fully covered by the wet cloth. And for clothing fires, a fire blanket or wet cloth can help prevent further spread. And it will be not effective if the fire was so large, or the chemical or electrical fires. And when the large oil fire as well as chemicals dangerous places of hot oil. So the conclusion is a wet cloth maybe can be reducing oxygens and absorbing heat, but it should be used cautiously depending on the type of the fire. The next topic was talk about fire control, how we control the fire by using standard system for hazard identifications. Um, this is from the NFPA. They have a kind of standard system for identifying chemical hazards in emergency. So they have four color, and in each color they have their different type of hazards. So they will be represent the level of health risk posed by the material in its colors. And this is how we did a fire control. This is how we do fire hydrant concepts. They explain that fire can ignite and sustain itself due to presence of four main elements, right? And to extinguish a fire, one or more of these four elements must be removed. And below are some fire suppression methods based on the fire tetrahedral concepts. They can use a water spray, carbon dioxide, dry chemical, and fire break. For the water spray, it will be works by cooling the head and reducing the temperature around the fire. Additionally, by water vapor can help lower the oxygen level around the fuel. And for the carbon dioxide, they works by displacing oxygen from the fuel surface. And for the dry chemical fire extinguisher, they try to disrupt the chemical chain reactions that sustains the fires. And for the fire cut in a forest fire, these techniques involves removing combustible fuel to prevent the fire from spreading further. And this is some classifications of fire based on NFPA material. Each type of fire requires an appropriate extinguishing method. There are the classification, so they have A, B, C, D, and K. For the A, ordinary combustible, they can be only extinguished by water. The B, class flammable liquids, they can be extinguished by using carbon dioxide. And for the electrical, they only can be used carbon dioxide, and do not use water because it can be electric shocks. And for the D class, you can use a special dry powder to cover the fire and isolate oxygen. And from this class, also do not use water because some metal may react explosively with water. And for the last class, K class, kind of cooking oils and fats, they can use a wet chemical to extinguish. And since with the previous one, do not use water because they maybe can cause splattering and worsen the fire. This is some fire extinguishers. They have fire extinguishers cabinets also. This is a storage unit for firefighting equipment and designed to provide quick and easy access in the event of a fire. And this is some fire extinguishers from the manual until the automatically ones kind of fire sprinkler like we have in our campus. This is a system, automatic system used to detect and extinguish fire by spraying water or other extinguishing agent. The next one is live fire extinguisher LFE or portable fire extinguisher, or we know as APAR. Actually, a live fire extinguisher or LFE have different kind of type, kind of wet chemical with yellow color coat, dry powder, blue color, and then they also have kind of sponge, water, and also carbon dioxide. Oh, I mean not sponge, yes, guys. This is foam. I mean, so they for its LFE they have or for its portable fire extinguishers they have they I mean from this table we can know that they have selecting the appropriate. We need to have a appropriate portable fire extinguisher based on the type of fire and the suitable extinguish media. So the first column indicates the type of material or fire sources categorized by letter A, B, D, C, E, and then motor vehicles. And for the other column, this ones contain the types of fire extinguishing media, including. So if they have a checklist indicating that the fire extinguishing media is suitable for that type of fires, and for the X ones indicates that the media is not suitable for that type of fire. So make sure if you wanna extinguish some causes of the fire, you need to make sure with the portable fire extinguisher that you can use. This is how to use a fire extinguisher, so you can watch this YouTube video to increase your knowledge how to use these fire extinguishers. Or if you want to know more about that, you can see this video. And this is how to distribute portable extinguishers based on the maximum distance between the device. I mean, for the portable extinguishers. So in each class they have different distance, and this is the way how you to maintain the fire extinguishers. So you have three kind of maintenance. The first one is inspection maintenance, and then the second one is routine maintenance, and the last one is regular inspections. The last module I think that we want to discuss was talk about, oh, I mean the second last fire evacuations. So this is how you did life safety requirement, fire safety key elements based on what we already mentioned before. When a fire occurs, workers must immediately exit the hazardous area through designated evacuation routes, and this process is called means of egress. which consists of three main parts: exit access, the exit, and also exit discharge. This is a behavior of humans when they face the fires. They have three kind of behavior. The first one is convergence clusters, panic. The second one is panic behavior, and then the last one is re-entry behavior. The last module, how we protection for workers that working with fires. They have two kind of topic: exposure to hazards in emergency situation, and also work safety system according to regulations. This is some agents that maybe will be hazards in emergency conditions. The first one is fire, smokes, and electrical hazards. The second one is chemical splash or contact with toxic substances. The third one is explosion hazards and flying debris. And the fourth one is hazards atmosphere, kind of unknown atmospheres, maybe a lack of oxygen, the presence of toxic gases like carbon monoxide and chemical vapors or fumes that can damage the respiratory system if inhaled for too long. This is a decree of the Minister of Public Workers number 10 slash KPTS slash 2000. The building layout planning and fire protection system by try to site planning, rescue facilities, active protection system, and also passive protection system. And it's part they have their explanations. You can try to take a deeper by yourself. And from this slide, actually the conclusion is the implementation of the system is crucial, especially for preventing, controlling, and also for managing fires in buildings or workplace to ensure the safety of occupants. And this is for the topic today about fire hazard potentials. And then the next one is about the assignment for this mix. I need each of you to create a mind map related to the lessons. So please make a mind maps that concludes our two lessons about fire hazard potential, and make sure to submit that mind map in the midnight of this day. I already set the deadline in 23 59 today, so make sure you submit it before it. And that's it for today. See you after Idul Fitri, and bye bye. Thank you.